Thank you for joining in for today's presentation of the 2022 Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We'd like to remind you that this program is brought to you in part by Daryl Swinehart and Ashley Lutz at Ag Credit in Bucyrus, Andy Shutt at Shutt Brothers Sales. Nobody sells more pre-owned trucks and SUVs than Shutt Brothers since 1945. Steve and Josh Stanek at Attica Lumber, Jim Spring and Tom Brown at Spring Capital Management, Todd Nye at Nye Builders since 1946, Andy Willenthaler at your Galleon Community Center YMCA, Joe Klein and Associates at the Galleon offices of First Federal Bank of Ohio, Mike Klaus at Klaus and Associates, Uptown Galleon, your Medicare supplement specialist, as well as Sweet Baby Ray Jones at Ohio Door and Sash in Galleon. I'd like to now turn it over to our Master of Ceremonies, Ralph Thalvet.
Each year, and the publicity that it gives the program. Okay, I'd like to introduce the head table at this time. First of all, my extreme right, in that vacant chair, is Ken Jarvis, the presenter for chair number 2, George Guins. And then we have Alyssa Davis, daughter of Dr. Brett Simmermacher, in chair number 4. And next to Brett, we have Gabe Helbert, presenter for Tyler Brause, and then Carolyn Helbert. And Kennedy?
Yes.
And Kennedy. Okay, on my far left, we have Nicole Wang, presenter for Alan White, seated next to her. And then Bill Arnold, presenter for Dan Wurm, seated next to him. And then we have Nancy Ackerman, the presenter for the 1996 Buckeye Central Championship volleyball team. And the volleyball team, can I have each of you raise your hand wherever you're seated? Okay. Okay, obviously they're not at the head table, but they will certainly be recognized up here in a little bit. Okay, we're going to start out with Gabe Helbert presenting Tyler Brause. Tyler Brause.
Yep.
I stand corrected.
Can I put this here?
Sure.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you. Congrats to the 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. Phenomenal group of athletes, tremendous multi-sport athletes. Special shout out to Brett Simmermacher. Simmy was a huge impact on me in my life. I think most of the kids my age from Crestline, Simmy was one of the reasons why we love baseball so much. The Buckeye Central volleyball team, state champion volleyball team. That was my junior year of high school. Phenomenal accomplishment. My only problem with that was it took away a lot of the burn that we had at Crestline High School. They were getting a lot of publicity instead of our football team, so still a little salty about that, but you guys went on to great things. We got pounded in the first round of the playoffs. When Tyler asked me to introduce him for this great honor, it was unbelievably humbling and one of the more proud moments of my coaching career. I had the opportunity to coach Tyler at Winford High School as the quarterback coach his junior and senior year. I think that we would all agree who was part of that coaching staff is a high school kid made us all better. Tyler was the guy that held everyone accountable, himself first and foremost, his teammates and his coaches. I knew every single day I had to show up prepared because Tyler was going to expect me to give his best because he had an unrelenting desire to get better. I think as Tyler continued on in his career, he really became an extension of a coach on the field. I saw Jeff Holbrook here today. I think Holby would agree with that as well. You always knew with Brause in charge that things were going to get done and they were going to get done right. Tyler had a phenomenal career at Winford High School. In my opinion, and there's been a long list of amazing athletes from Winford, Tyler Brause stands at the top of that list. There's no one ever better to do it at our school. I would say this, he is the best skilled football player that this county has ever produced. I'm talking about a guy who could do it all. And the interesting thing about him, when we got Tyler as a freshman, and I just talked to Coach Moyer about this the other day, when we got him as a freshman, he was not a natural thrower. He wasn't a guy that you thought, wow, this dude can just rip it, and it'd be an amazing thing. But what was amazing, he had an elite desire to get better. And a guy who we thought wasn't a great I shouldn't say great, but was not a natural passer to start with, rewrote every record that our school had from a passing standpoint. It's just a testament to his desire to get better, maybe not only for himself, but within the better good and the greater good of our entire football program. Tyler was the state player of the year as a senior. There was a moment in time that I go back to when you knew Tyler Brause was different than, say, your standard, normal high school kid. And this I remember this very vividly. I had just finished the baseball season. I was coaching baseball. It was the spring of 2010, or excuse me, the spring of 2008. And I was going to show up at open gym in May. I'm 28, 29 years old. I'm feeling great about myself, and I'm gonna check these young high school punks up. So I show up to this open gym, and I walk in. I'm feeling great about myself, and I hadn't seen the football guys in a while. We've been in baseball, and I'd been away from the weight room. And I remember this like it was yesterday. We walk into the House of Thrills, and I'm about to play this open gym, and I'm gonna find somebody to guard. And I see Tyler Brause, all 6'4", 220 pounds of him. I ain't guarding him. That ain't happening that way. And I really felt in that moment, you knew there was something different about him. There was just something there that he had this desire to go beyond maybe the rural community that we were in and experience something maybe unfathomable for most of us. Tyler has an amazing quiet confidence. He has a quiet confidence that's unrivaled. You never hear him really speak much, except for that one time, right, Brause, against the Eagles. You never really were going to see him. You were never going to see him be frazzled. We always talked about behaving like a duck. When you looked at him on the surface, he was calm and steady, and we knew underneath that water, he was paddling like heck to give his absolute best effort. Again, I mentioned this, a kid from rural Northwest Crawford County receives a football scholarship from at least one team in every single Power 5 conference. It's an amazing thing. The guy went from playing at Winford High School to running out of the tunnel at Death Valley LSU, Neyland Stadium in Tennessee, between the hedges at Georgia, and in the swamp in Florida. And to try to understand that as a coach is pretty hard to believe, because you never think you're going to have a guy like that. In my experience with Tyler, it doesn't matter what it is, he's going to figure it out, and he's probably going to be better than you at it. And I've experienced that many times. He just has this, and maybe he gets it from his dad, but he has an unbelievable ability to figure things out and get good at them. I mean, the guy fixed a steel leaf blower the other day. It didn't work. He just did it. I don't know how, but he does. As I thought about what to say about Brause, there's some things that go beyond him being an awesome athlete, the valedictorian of our class, tremendously successful personally and professional as a doctor of physical therapy, but he is a servant leader. The word "there for you" kept coming back to me. My entire experience with Tyler Brause is he is a there for you person. He is constantly there for you. He's been there for his teammates, his friends, his family, complete strangers. He's there for us hitting a game winner in a district championship game. He was there for us when we needed a long 80-yard touchdown run to continue a win streak. He was there for us on a key interception touchdown return in a playoff game. And you know, he was even there for me the night my roof blew off my house, and all of a sudden Tyler Brause and his dad are there for me. So it goes, you know, well beyond just sports. You know, I think being a there for you person is part of the fabric of his DNA. It's kind of woven within that. The Brause family is an amazing group. As a matter of fact, I was told they hit a record for ticket sales within 5 minutes of this thing, because they're there for one another. They're there for one another, and I love that sense of community that their family has given to me, and just the fact that they've always been there for myself and so many others. Tyler's a guy that loves hobbies. He's a guy that's always been interested in hobbies. He told me recently, within the last few years, that golf would be his new thing. I said, wow, man, golf, you know, what's up with that? And he told me he would become great at golf to honor his brother-in-law. And I thought that was truly special and showed the type of character that he is. You know, it's been an honor and an amazing opportunity to coach Tyler Brause. It's been even a greater honor in my life to develop a lasting friendship. There really haven't been many days in the last, how many years that I haven't contacted him, or we haven't been in contact on a daily basis about everything, advice, whatever, I mean, opinions on stuff, thoughts, whatever. He's been there because he's a be there for you guy. I'll say this over and over again. Winford schools are extremely blessed to have Tyler Brause as an alum. I am extremely proud of you. 2021 Hall of Famer Tyler Brause.
Do we have anyone taking pictures this year? Carlin? Okay. If anything needs to be done, Carolyn will usually take care of it. On behalf of the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame 2021, we do induct Tyler Brause and say congratulations for all your accomplishments.
Thank you, Coach Helbert, for all those kind words about my career. Kind of hard not to be emotional when someone says so many nice things about you, but I'll do my best here. Coach Helbert, you know, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your words, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. So thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight to support myself and the other athletes. And thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for putting on such a wonderful event. You know, how fortunate are we to have a group of people selfless enough to dedicate their time to put something like this together for the athletes in the community. I think that's very special, and we're lucky to have that. I'm truly honored and humbled to be receiving this recognition tonight, especially amongst so many other phenomenal athletes seated up here. So congratulations to all of you who will be inducted tonight. Like I said, it's an honor to be in this class. During my time at Kentucky, at our meetings with our athletic booster, athletics director, Mitch Barnhart, he would always remind us, to whom much is given, much is expected. And you know, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, you know, some of that kind of went over my head. You know, I was more worried about how hard practice was going to be, or what was for dinner, or, you know, the test coming up next week that I might not have studied enough for. But I think sometimes, or at least in my case, you know, looking back and reflecting on things, we kind of realize how fortunate we were and how much we've been given. And one of the more fun parts of preparing for tonight's event was going through totes at my parents' house of photos and scrapbooks and newspaper articles, and kind of reliving and reminiscing on some of the games over the years. And the consistent thought that just kept coming to my head was, how lucky am I? You know, how lucky am I to have a mother who every night had a hot dinner on the table, and clean clothes ready for practice in the morning, and was always there to listen. And you know, that only scratches the surface of what she did for me. Or a father who was always ready to go play catch or shoot hoops, or help me put up 4 different basketball rims in the shop, or build me some crazy contraption that I thought I needed to help me get better as an athlete. And then just in general, to have parents who, through all my years of playing, you know, literally all over the country, they were at every game. They were there early. They were loud during the game. They stayed after the game. You know, truly my biggest fans and my biggest supporters. So, how lucky am I to have a wife who supports me just as much now as she did when we first met back in high school. How lucky am I to have an older brother who set the example of, you know, what it meant to dedicate yourself to the weight room and to your sport, and you know, really improve myself to reach my potential. And how lucky am I to get a bonus brother in Tevin, who was there at every single practice with me, every game, from grade school through college, you know, there to listen, and those of you who know Tevin, there to put a smile on my face. How lucky am I to have teammates who were not just teammates, but they were my best friends. You know, guys that I met when we were in kindergarten, first grade, and got to just go out and just have fun playing a game. Guys like Nate sitting over here. How lucky am I to go to Winford, you know, where the tradition for football and basketball is winning, and to be a part of that success and to continue that success. And how lucky am I to have coaches like Coach Steve Helbert and Coach Jeff Holbrook and Gabe, who invested in me as a person and not just as me as an athlete, and cared about my success in the future and not just the success on the field. And, you know, lastly, how lucky am I to grow up in this community, you know, that offers youth sports and camps, and when there's a rivalry game, the stands are packed. And, you know, I just think we're so fortunate to have that in this community. So that's what I just kept thinking to myself, you know, is how lucky am I? I once had a coach say that be grateful even on your worst days, because you may be living someone else's dream. That quote really resonates with me, because even though, you know, there are certainly kids who have been more talented than me, you know, but they might not have had the opportunities that I had given to me. And for that, how could I not be grateful, even on my bad days? I've certainly been able to live my dream, and I continue to get to live my dream, and that's because of so many of you that are here tonight. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for everything you've done for me. I hope you feel as honored about this induction as I do, because it wouldn't be possible without many of you. So again, thank you so much. I am very, very honored. And again, congratulations to the rest of the athletes who will be inducted. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Helbert and Tyler. Okay, at this time, Ken Jarvis will present George Gibbs.
Wasn't as easy for me to climb up here as it was for the last fellow who I also had to adjust the microphone too. First of all, congratulations to all the inductees, this evening's inductees. It's quite an honor. My name is Ken Jarvis, and I received a call from George Guins, probably 2 months ago, and George was he was asking if I would introduce him at his induction into the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame, and my reply was, "Again?" Now that requires some explanation. You see, George is already a member of the Ohio High School Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Hall of Fame. In addition to that, he's also a member of the Galleon City Schools Hall of Fame, and I've been given the honor of being his presenter on all 3 of those occasions. And I swear this is not a duplication of those previous 2 introductions. George and I first met when he came to Galleon High School from Bucyrus in 1976, I believe, 76, 77 school year. And in addition to that, we've coached together for well over 30 years, track and field and cross country. It's a lot of water under the bridge. And obviously, we know each other pretty well. As a matter of fact, I didn't intend to do this, but how many of you in this room, just hold your hands up, how many of you know George Guins? Consider him a friend of yours. Just look around. I don't think George has ever had an enemy, except for that one high school custodian. But we won't get into that. I'm not going to dwell too much on the facts that are already in your programs, although I will mention that I will mention some of them, but take the time to read those bios because they're quite impressive. They are quite impressive. As some of you are aware, George is quite an accomplished distance runner, having run some 30 Boston, is it 30 plus or 30? 30 plus Boston marathons. At one time, he had the 2nd longest consecutive streak of Boston marathons of anyone in the world. And he still helps out at the Boston Marathon. He works in the VIP tent now, and he's had the opportunity to meet some really interesting people that way, some of whom didn't want to be bothered by other people in the VIP tent, from what I understand. But he's also run a great many other marathons besides Boston, but I know that the Boston Marathon is the most important in his mind, the one that's most special to him. He finished as high as 40th place in the Boston Marathon one year. That same year, he was ranked in the top 100 marathoners in the world, which is a pretty impressive accomplishment. I always tell George that I asked him once, I said, was Phidippides ranked first that year? Now, there are about 2 or 3 distance runners in here who will understand that reference. The rest of you just ask around and you'll find out what that means. While attending Ohio State University in the 60s, George was starting goalie on Ohio State's varsity men's soccer team, football team, if you happen to be British. He actually held the record for the most consecutive shutouts for a goalie at Ohio State until just I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And he also participated in varsity track and field at Ohio State. He told me that he used to spend most of the practices standing around at the long jump pit watching Paul Warfield, Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins, Super Bowl champion, NFL Hall of Fame, watching him long jump. I always thought that was kind of interesting. George, he was once asked to apply his coaching skills from track and field to training a racehorse, a harness horse. Now that is a really interesting combination. George agreed to do that. The horse never won a race, so obviously the technique that's involved in track and field doesn't really pass over to harness racing. You have to remember, though, that George tells these stories about himself, a very self-deprecating individual, to say the least. Now I want to give you a few fun facts about George Gibbs and his family that you might not be aware of. First of all, did you know that George's father was born in St. Petersburg? We're not talking Florida. We're talking Russia. And that the family escaped during the beginning of the Russian Revolution in 1917, traveling all the way across Russia, west to east, waylaying in Harbin, China, I think for a year, and then emigrating to the United States through San Francisco. Pretty interesting. They were fleeing the communists in Russia. Rather ironic. Did you know that George's father and the famous actor Yul Brynner were childhood friends? Yul Brynner's from Russia. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's true. Some of the younger people may not know who Yul Brynner is. Just ask around or watch the movie The King and I. And George got to meet Yul Brynner, I think, at Playhouse Square in Cleveland. Dad took him backstage, and he and Yul Brynner had a bit of a reunion there. Quite interesting. Bet you didn't know that. Do you know that George's wife, Ann, is a national caliber United States Masters swimmer? Holds some relay world records, I believe. Ann is a very good swimmer. Did you know that George, numbers are kind of important to George. I've learned that over the years. And George told me more than once, he said, you know, I think I'd like to coach 50 years. And at that point, kind of like that number, I think I'll stop. And so George retired after what he thought was 50 years, only to discover afterwards that it was 49 years, not 50. I love that story. Did you know that George, thinking that his neighbors had been away on an extended vacation, decided to mow their lawn for them, only to discover afterward that his neighbors had not been on vacation and were watching him through their living room window while he mowed their huge lawn, by the way. They thanked him by bringing some eggs over later on. I'm not sure who was more embarrassed. Seriously, though, George has had an outstanding coaching career, both in Bucyrus and in Gallien. He's inspired coaches, not just locally, but throughout the state of Ohio. I was talking to one just the other day, Earl Miller, George, from a longtime coach at Bellevue High School, happens to live in Washington, D.C. now, and Earl was saying no one is more deserving of being in a Hall of Fame than George Gibbs, and for all the right reasons. He's instilled a love of running in the athletes that he's mentored, many of whom, both young men and women, have gone on to coach track and field and other sports, but particularly track and field and cross country themselves. One of whom is here tonight, my son John, another of whom, Steve Oxer, sitting over there as well. And both have been very successful at what they do. They were also at other Hall of Fame inductions for George. An absolutely wonderful ambassador for the sport of track and cross country. George Gibbs is highly respected and loved by all those who know him. I'm proud and I'm blessed to call him my friend. Congratulations on your induction, George, to the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame. It's an honor well deserved. George Gibbs. Catch me when I fall. Be careful. I'll stand here and help you. Till you get up there.
Let me make the presentation to you first.
Oh.
George Gibbs, we do present to him the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame plaque, class of 2021.
Thanks, Ken. He gave all my secrets away. I don't really have anything to say, but I want you to know that when I found out I was going to be nominated, the first thing I did was to go find a quiet place where I could get my thoughts together. Well, keep in mind, I had a lot more paper to use. But anyway, thanks to the committee, and I don't know who nominated me, but somebody. You never know. But, you know what? Every year that we have this, there's a Buckeye Central girls sports team. And I'm going to tell you, I think there's something in the water. I'm gonna start taking my kids to Buckeye Central once a week, just drink the water. I'm sure we do pretty well. But anyway, I got a few things to tell. Ken told all my secrets. So I just want to thank everybody and tell if there's any young coaches here, I got some hints for them. And so I'll just go through till I run out of paper, and then I'll let the next person come up. Okay, so, man, this keeps. All right, I got it now. Okay, here are 5 things you need to know. You know, if you're a head coach, first of all, you get to take credit for all your assistants. Think about it now. Who is your assistant coach? Who took the credit? Coach Moyer, right? Look who was the assistant. So I got to take credit for all of my assistants, and I'm telling you what, when I coached track and field, I had Tim Miller and the Kai boys as shot and disc people. I had Scotty Pensinger over there for probably, I don't know, 25 or 30 years. And when he was deployed, his brother Mike took over. Mike was a state champion pole vaulter. We had zillions of good pole vaulters. I got credit for them all, I want you to know. Thanks, Scotty. Not bad, huh? And Ken and I have been coaching together for who knows how long, over 30 years. I took care of those distance kids in cross country, but Ken took care of them in track and field. And he had them, well, every year for 30 some years. So you see, my job as head coach was pretty easy. I had Gary Whitaker as a sprint coach. He later on was a superintendent of schools. He rented Bowling Green, and I'm telling you what, he told me he saw the backs of some of the very best runners in the country. And the same thing happened to me when I was running marathons. I saw the backs of some of the world's best. I did. And one time I remember I was running a half marathon down in Dayton, and they ran on one side of the river, and then on the way back, they ran on the other side. And I just looked across the river and I saw all the leaders. Bill Rogers, Frank Shorter. I saw them all. I was only 10 minutes behind them. Not bad, huh? Okay, let's see here. One of the things I did right away when I started coaching, I would always ask the other coaches what they did. Norm Grimes up at Tiffin would always tell me. In fact, he used to run his cross-country kids in the morning. So I thought, oh, that's a good idea. We'll run our kids in the morning. And the thing of it is, when I started coaching, you just outworked everybody. Nobody knew anything about coaching. There weren't any books. So if you ran more than everybody else, you beat most everybody else. And one of the things I wanted to do was race against the best teams in the state. And one of the best teams was Marion Harding. So I called the coach down there. He probably had 80 kids on his team, and they were always one of the top teams in the state. You know what he told me? You guys aren't good enough to run against us. We were later on, but we weren't then. But I thought that was a pretty uppity thing. He wasn't interested in running in little O.B. Cyrus, who just started their team. But who knows? We came out to be pretty good in the end. But Norm Grimes at Tiffin would always take time to tell me what they were doing. I'd ask him, you know, what can I do to, and he'd tell me, do sets of this, do sets of that, and we would do it, and we were successful. Later on, when other coaches had asked me, I did the same. The coaching fraternity in track and cross country is a pretty good thing. We become friends, we trade secrets, and there aren't really any secrets, but we tell each other what we do. Some people do something that works really well. For instance, Terry Zucker at Shelby said, we don't run on Friday afternoons. I said, well, why not? Well, he said, we have kids in the band, we have cheerleaders, so we run in the morning on Friday, and we take the afternoon off, kids rest, then they're ready to run on Saturday mornings. That's what we do. And so so there's Terry now. Terry passed away. We were good friends. We used to go out during the summer and have lunch together. So what do you know? But anyway, here are the secrets, so get ready. Write this down. It's important. Number one, you got to have great parents. If you don't have great parents, you don't have a great team. Parents do everything for you. After you have great parents, you have great kids. The kids that behave. And I'll tell you what, cross-country kids are the best kids in the country. They have to be organized, they work hard, they're good students, and I'm telling you what, you can get better kids than cross-country kids. Track kids, maybe not so much, but cross-country kids are the greatest. All right, and then you have to have administrators that go along with some of the things you want to do, because I'll tell you what, cross-country coaches are a little different. And so we don't always do everything the same. For instance, football and basketball and baseball, every single game you play is important. Cross country, all the early meets are training. You're pointing for the league meet, you're pointing for the district meet, the regional meet, and the state meet. Those are the big meets. So everything you do before that, even if they're big meets, they're still training. You're always trying to get better to the end of the season. Well, if you're a football coach or if you're a baseball coach, that's hard to understand, because what do you mean those meets aren't important? Well, they aren't. They're just training. And so you have to have a good administration. Kyle Bond is somewhere around here, and he's my last athletic director, and he understood what we were trying to do and helped us along. So we didn't have to run 16 meets. We could only run 10. We didn't like to run Tuesday meets because you train on Tuesday. You don't have to run a meet every time there's one. Okay, then you have to have great coaches. And I told you, I had Scotty in the pole vault. I had shot and disc coaches that were good. I had long jump coaches. Everybody, I had a lot of good coaches. I was really lucky. And not only that, I got to take credit again for everything that they did. And that's a good thing. All right, let's see here. You know who else I had? He's going to be later on. But old Bill Arnold over here, he coached at Buckeye Central, and Dan Wurm was a really good trackster at Buckeye Central. And I'll tell you what, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we could beat Dan Wurm. We couldn't beat him. He was drinking that water up there. But Bill and I used to get together. We were friends, and we'd maybe set our relays or something. He couldn't beat us because I had too many kids. But he had a lot of good kids. And so we'd set our meet up so that we could be competitive, and I could have some young kids get some points. His kids would do well, and it would be a good competitive meet. But Bill came over and coached with me for a couple years. And I'll tell you what, it was a day just like today that Ken Jarvis and I decided that was our last year of coaching. Too cold. Yeah, we were too old. And I'll tell you what, how bundled up we were, and they hadn't even started the high jump, and I was all ready to go home. So there you go. All right, let's see. And I was a runner too. I don't know, I guess Ken told you that. So I had a lot of running partners, but one of my best running partners was a guy named Ned Reese over in Galleon. We got together every morning at 6 a.m. and went for a run. And then I went to school. And I got a little bit of time here, but I'll just tell you this. I used to run every morning before school. And one morning, the assistant principal told me that he set me up for a meeting, about a week away, and he forgot to tell anybody. And so I went to the meeting, and I didn't come to school. And they thought for sure I'd got hit by a car out there running or something. They sent people out to look for me, and I wasn't there. Finally, they remembered that they'd sent me off somewhere. Crazy world. Bill Crissman sitting way back there. He coached at Crestline. He's another good friend of mine, but he was one of the runners. I'm telling you, I wore out most of my runners, but Bill's one of the guys I could never wear out. He's still running, and I'm not. So he's still going. A great guy, though, I'll tell you what. So here's just a touch of the kind of track coaches we have in Crawford County. You got Jodie Groves, who's already in this outfit. You can go in there and see her picture. She coached at Colonel Crawford along with Rick Keller. Now, she was the head coach. Rick Keller coached all those state champion hurdlers. Jodie got to take credit for that, I'll tell you. But Rick was probably the greatest hurdle coach maybe in the whole state of Ohio. But he coached at Colonel Crawford. Of course, Terry Zerker over at Shelby, Carl Rittenauer at Bucyrus, Dave Potter National. All these people were great coaches, all in this area. We're really lucky. Crawford County is really a hot spot for really all athletics. I mean, think of the people who have gone through Crestline, the Gottliebs, the Radabaws, all those people, the Harbaughs, right from Crestline. And I mean, just look at the people we've got around here. Now, Tiger Woods said that, this is something he said when he was inducted into the Golf Hall of Fame in Houghton. It was only a couple of weeks ago. He said, nobody gets somewhere without somebody's help. You don't never get anywhere all by yourself. And that's just the truth. It's the truth for all of us. And all these wonderful inductees here, all of us have had help getting where we are. And the very last thing I want to tell you is look at Cindy Connor over here. Cindy, stand up for him. Cindy took over for my cross-country team. You know, when you've done something for 49 years, you don't want to give it up. And when you do give it up, you want to give it up to somebody who loves it as much as you do. And Cindy does, and I'm telling you what, one of the things on my bucket list was to take a girls cross-country team to the state meet. We got to the regional meet, but we never got to the state meet. And 2 years ago, Cindy took a girls team to the state meet. So I'm really proud of her. She's done a great job. And so there's one more thing I wanted to tell you here, that I just wrote this down, and then I'll get off of here. But you probably don't know this, but Crawford County has had 2 Olympians. How many knew that? Only John over there and Ken. One of them was by the name of Jack Mortland, and he went to Galleon, left as a junior, and went to Columbus. to finish his year. He was a race walker in the 1964 Olympics. The other fella was Gail Dahl, and we're looking up on to find out who he did, what he did. But we think he was in the London Olympics. Is that right? In 1928. I'm not sure when the London Olympics were. But anyway, so we've had 2 Olympians from Crawford County. 3. Who's the other one? Oh, that's right, Nate Ranking. I forgot about Nate. I coached him, by the way, but he was. God, he was on the English basketball team on the Olympic Games, and gosh, what did he say? He said something. I can't remember. What did he say about the Queen? I can't remember. I don't know what. He couldn't come over for the induction because he had to have tea with the Queen or something. But anyway, I'm all done. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, George. And I know this means a lot to you. No, you can't be around Crawford County for too long without hearing something positive about George Gibbs. Somebody that knew him, what he did, this and that. As all of the people that are being inducted tonight, George is certainly deserving. Okay, Alyssa Davis, presenting to her father, Dr. Brett Simmermacher.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to say congratulations to my dad, Brett, on this induction into the Hall of Fame. Can you hear me now? Okay. You're more than deserving. Also, congratulations to the other nominees on this honor. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my dad. Since I wasn't alive when he was an athlete, but I did, growing up, my sister and I got to be a part of his coaching career because we were always his managers and ball girls. So Dad went to Crissman High School where he played baseball, football, and basketball. He earned all conference, all district, and all state in all 3 of the sports. When he was, his sophomore through senior year at Crissman, he led the scoring in basketball for his team. As a sophomore, he scored 227 points as an average. And his junior year scored 329 points, and his senior year, 457 points. He was named first team All MOC and first team All District team in 1980 and 1981. He was honorable mention All-Ohio in 1981 as well. He earned 3 varsity letters in football as a quarterback. He led the Bulldogs to 2 league co-championships in his junior and senior year. He played on the 1978 undefeated Crissman football team, and he was named first team All-MOC in 80 and 81, All-Northwest District his senior year, and honorable mention All-Ohio in 1980. He earned 3 varsity letters in baseball, and he played on the state qualifying Bulldog baseball team. He was all at MOC in 79, 80, and 81, all district team in 80 and 81, and MOC player of the year in 81. He graduated in 1981, and he earned a baseball scholarship to the University of South Alabama and played for legendary Eddie Stanky. He transferred to University of West Florida, where he graduated with a dual bachelor's and master's degree in health, leisure, and sports and physical education. He got two letters two from each school, with a total of 4 letters altogether. After graduation, he signed a professional contract with the Seattle Mariners organization and played in Bellingham, Washington in the Northwest League. And that team that year won the league championship. He was a left-handed relief pitcher, and now, excuse me, he's teaching his grandson Mason, who's also a left-handed pitcher, how to pitch. He joined the Air Force and retired after 26 years of service. And he started coaching and teaching first at Plymouth High School, and then he spent 15 years in the Crestline School District, as well as time at Winford and Shelby. While he was at Crestline, he was the head boys basketball coach, head girls basketball coach, head golf coach, and head baseball coach. In 2005, while coaching the boys golf team, they had their first undefeated season in Crestline school history, and they were the first golf team to advance to the district tournament. He also coached at Ashland University, where he was the assistant baseball coach, and his team attended the Division II College World Series. In June of 2005, he earned his doctorate degree from the United States Sports Academy, and he became an associate professor of sports management at his alma mater. He then started at Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama as an instructor and head baseball coach. And at that institute, he restarted their baseball program. In 2006, he went to the New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, New Mexico, and he taught 2 years on an elementary school in Roswell, and then at Artesia High School, where he was a special education teacher and the assistant baseball coach and basketball coach. He was a part of the 2014 4A basketball state championship while assisting basketball at Roswell High. He went back to Alabama for 3 years and was the chair professor of sports coaching, and is now currently in Claremont, Florida, where he teaches at Eastridge High School, and he is the head baseball coach. And he also teaches driver's ed. Since I can remember growing up, my sister and I, it doesn't matter where we go, somebody knows Brett Simmermacher. And all they talk about are the countless stories about the natural and accomplished athlete that he was. When this article came out about his induction, I can't tell you how many people had gotten a hold of me and said, you know, we had no idea your dad has done so much, because he doesn't talk about it. He's more of the, let your actions speak louder than the words. They also talk about his competitiveness, and my sister and I definitely got that trait from him. And we're grateful that we were able to be a part of, that you let us be a part of your coaching career and drive you nuts along with your players. He taught us everything we knew about sports, and we're grateful for his wisdom and his knowledge. Not only was he a great athlete from a small town, he's also a mentor, role model, and a leader to many students and athletes, and still is to this day. He's taught many about the world of sports, but more importantly, he's made a difference in many lives through guidance and support of his athletes and students, teaching them about life. He's never been one to talk about his accomplishments, so I'm proud to be able to talk about it for him tonight. I hope you know how proud of you we are and how much we love you. Sorry. Congratulations again, Dr. Brett Simmermacher.
Oh, Brett, this is to you. 2021 induction into the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame. Is there a reason the picture here looks so much younger?
A lot younger now. I don't like to leave it in there. Yeah. Thank you, Alyssa, for that wonderful induction, or induction. You know, this is a tough one for me because I don't know if many of you know, but 2 years ago, my oldest daughter passed away. At a very young age. But I know she's here tonight. That was tough. Probably the toughest, you know, for sports acumen pitch that I've ever had to face. What an honor it is to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. 2 weeks ago, you would probably not know, 11 days ago, my youngest one, Alyssa, there had my 7th grandchild, Owen, which is over there in the back with my cousin Rhonda. Anyway, I came here from Florida, 75, 80 degree weather. I get off the plane, it's 19 degrees. Last night, Crawford County was represented in Florida, Claremont, Florida. My nephew, Joey Neal, Jr., was coaching Cypress Creek High School, and I was coaching East Ridge High School, and now he's 2-0 against his uncle. But he, of course, you know, he had 3 games this week, and he saved his top pitcher for me on Friday night. That's going to the University of South Carolina, throwing about 95. We hung around for a while to the top of the 7th when I had to bring in a young arm that had never pitched before, and he beat us 10-2. But he's done a great job there. But Crawford County was well represented last night. You know, then you know, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the class, the induction class, especially Dan Wurm. He used to pound on me when Buckeye and us used to get together. Tyler, I used to follow your career because of the Crissman connection with the Helberts and Coach Moyer and Coach Guins. You know, Carson is my son-in-law and also helped Cindy. So I know all about your career. And Al, I was 5 years old when you were playing. So, but you know, you had a great career and you were a baseball guy. So, and you live in Florida like I do. And the Buckeye volleyball team, you guys were, as Gabe said, I was coaching and teaching at Crissman when you guys were doing your thing. But if you look at this, I went in the room back there and looked at some of the names. Of course, it's an honor to join my dad in the Hall of Fame here at Crawford County. But I mean, Dad, Gates Brown, Mike Godfrey, Jack Harbaugh, Coach Hudson, Rob Sheldon, Mike Fisher, Coach DePietro, Rocky Hall, Bob Miller, Jerry Harbaugh, Jimmy Glauer, Tom Schreck, Travis Moyer, Don Cow, Dr. Johnson. All those guys had some kind of influence in my life over the years. I mean, Travis played for me at Crestline. Doc Johnson took care of me when I got sick when I was teaching and coaching at Woodford. I coached his son, Josh. Don Cal, I coached his son, Danny. So, what a better place to grow up and learn from all the people around this area. As Alyssa said, her and Tasha used to be managers for me, and they were fondly nicknamed the Simmerbrats and Betty and Debbie. So they were wonderful managers for me, and always wanted to be with Dad, doing whatever I was doing. So those were moments that I still cherish to this day. And then of course you got my son-in-law Carson. What a wonderful job that he's done. I can't imagine going through what he's gone through, but Zach, stand up. That's his oldest boy. My oldest grandson. So proud of him. Then I got Mason and the Hurricane, wherever she's at. And then of course Owen and he's here. So just want to recognize them. I want to recognize Tom and Rhonda and Rhonda's daughter Ashley for showing up tonight. Bill and Jodie Elfman back here. Jeff O'Haron, which coached me and taught me a lot about baseball and a lot about life as well. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. God really blessed me over my years of life, and hopefully he continues to do that. But you know, my mom and dad were very influential in my life. I can't believe, number one, I've been out of school 40 years. Dad passed away 21 years ago, and Mom 11 years ago. So, wish they could be here to enjoy this as well, but I'm sure they're looking down as well. My brother and sisters, Brian, Val, and Vicky, they all live down in Florida where I live. We got smart and moved to the warm weather. And we get together a lot, get to enjoy each other's company. Again, you know, my dad was very influential in my life. Somebody asked me earlier if I was related to this Larry Simmermacher that was here. I believe it was Alan Connor. And I said, yeah, that's my dad. He goes, you think you were a better athlete than him? And I said, no, not even close. I mean, I didn't see him play, but I've heard many stories about the lines outside the gymnasium, seeing the games between him and Siegfried from Shelby and different schools around the Crawford County area as well. But, of course, my brother and sisters were very influential in my life. I'm going to put a plug in for my brother. I think he should be the next one from Crestline inducted into this Hall of Fame. And if I need to fill out the paperwork, I will. He was probably the better athlete, but you know, he also ran track. Coach Gibbs, he was a long jumper, made the state in track. He would go run the 100 and the 200 and do the long jump, and then come and play baseball. So he was probably the more talented of the two. I just happened to get lucky and sign a pro contract. He probably should have. You know, the names that I mentioned, the people from Crestline that you know, somebody was talking about Crestline and the people from Crestline earlier. Man, what a place to grow up. What an honor to come after those guys and you know, the Jerry Harbaughs, the Jack Harbaughs, the Mike and Joe Godfrey, and then their kids, Mark I used to run around with, and Jim and John when they'd come to town, and you know, just all those Rocky, all those influential people. Not only those folks, but you know, my teachers, you know, Miss Helbert, she was one of my teachers. You know, Miss Hargis is over here. Jimmy Glauer, Bill Upham was my PE teacher in elementary school, and then I was fortunate enough to teach with him later in my career when he got ready to retire, and he would tell stories. And I could stand up here all day and tell stories about that guy. You know, and then Bob Dilly, I was in the Air Force with him, or the Air National Guard in Mansfield with him. A lot of familiar faces. Steve Helbert was very influential in my career as an athlete, as an assistant coach at Crissman when I was coming through. Many people. I mean, I could name several, but I'd hate to forget somebody. Just all the teachers and coaches that have ever coached me before. This is an honor for you guys as well as it is for me. As I said earlier, I can't believe it's been 40 years since I graduated high school. But those were the best years of my life, as far as growing up in that small town and the things that we got to do as athletes, and you know, still have relationships with those players and friends today. You know, Facebook is a wonderful thing. I tell Bill Huffman that all the time. He'll call me and try to give me some information about something. I said, Bill, I knew that 2 weeks ago. How'd you know that? You live way down there in Florida. I said, Bill, you ever heard of Facebook? You need to get on there. We joke with each other like that all the time. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Joe Godfrey. If it wasn't for Joe Godfrey, I probably wouldn't have done a lot of the things that I've done beyond Crissman High School. I was looking for a place to go to school, and he got the assistant athletic director's job at South Alabama, and he called my dad and said, hey, I got a great baseball program down here. Former major leaguer Eddie Stanky's the coach. You know, you need to get Rhett down here. And Brian was at Murray State at the time, my older brother, and he decided to transfer there as well, and the rest is history. But if it wasn't for Joe, a Crawford County Crissman background, that probably would have never happened for me. So in closing, you know, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that showed up tonight on my behalf, just to be here for this induction. And again, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for my selection. And again, congratulations to the other inductees. And I'm always proud and honored to say that I'm from Crissman, Ohio. Thank you. I forgot. This guy was my teacher back in the day too, and coach. I could tell you a great story about junior high basketball.
I do remember. You know, one of the really neat things about Brett is, as accomplished as he always was as an athlete, he always cared very, very vividly about his teammates and about his coaches. You know, I can remember going to his house one time and I needed a left-handed catcher's mitt. Got it, gave it to me. You know, through the years, I can remember him calling me one time when he was teaching at Crissman and I was teaching at Crissman, informing me of something he thought I should be aware of about a mutual athlete. And he really cared about this person, and the kid was really not acting the way he should. And Brett, it bothered Brett. And he was always looking out for other people, helping other people as much as he could. And, you know, many times when a person's really a good athlete, you know, they feel they're up here and everybody else is down there, and they sort of act that way, like they're better than the other person. Brett never did. He always cared about those around him and tried his best to make those other people very successful. And he was the type of person that I think I can honestly say, if he was on the football field or on the basketball floor or on the baseball field, he made those around him better because of the association. And he helped other players to perform better, to care more. Just had that ability. I had the pleasure of knowing his mom and dad, and it's no wonder that his family, obviously great athletes, but were very caring people. Definitely a chip off the old block there, Brian.
Thank you.
Brett. Okay. At this time, Nicole Wang will introduce Alan White.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Make sure you talk. Okay. So, why not? So, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees this evening, but especially my dad, Alan White. I feel like he's pretty legendary, so I don't know that he needs much of an introduction. But he went to Buckeye Central. And I know there's been some talk this evening about everybody drinking the water at Buckeye Central. I don't know that it's the water that everybody's drinking, but they're drinking something. So the one thing that I will say, so my dad taught my brother and I everything about sports. He's been very influential in our lives, and we're very lucky to have such a good dad. He did raise us as Cleveland Browns fans, so I feel like he set us up for a lifetime of disappointment on that one. But if you ever ask him, my dad's one of the most humble people I've ever met, and if you were to ask him, he just really wasn't that great of an athlete. It was really his teammates that were so great. However, his list of accomplishments speaks for itself, so I'll just kind of go through it. So again, he went to Buckeye Central High School. He played 3 sports. In baseball, he was a 4-time letterman. He was all NCC, North Central Conference, 3 times. He was all Ohio as a senior. And this is just for baseball. He lettered 3 years at Ohio State, and he was also drafted by the Cleveland Indians right out of high school. For basketball, he was a 3-time letterman. First time all NCC 2 times, second time all CC once, and he was Buckeye Central team MVP 2 times. He had a career of 1,283 points, which he held the record for a really long time, until I was probably a senior in high school. 3rd team all Ohio, and he averaged 25.3 points as a senior, 20.3 points as a junior, and 16 points as a sophomore, and he went to the Ohio State University on a baseball scholarship, which was eventually turned into a basketball scholarship. So that was basketball. And then in football, which they only had, his senior year was the only year that they had football, but he was the quarterback. He was team MVP, all NCC, 3rd team all Ohio, and he led the team in tackles as a safety. But again, if you were to ask him, he was just okay. So again, I'll keep this short and sweet, and just want to say thank you, Dad, for being the best dad, and for always being supportive for Rocky and I in all of our sports, and for teaching us everything that we know. And most of all, thanks for teaching me to be a kind human. He would always emphasize, always be nice to everyone, be a good person, wave to people. And I just want to say thank you. I love you.
Al?
Big step, by the way.
Yes, to Al White, we do present this plaque, putting him in the class of 2021 Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this honor. And when Mr. Glauer called, it was hard for me to believe that I was inducted. But like I say, I'm very proud of it. And the first thing I thought of, you know, Lou Gehrig, you guys remember him, played for the Yankees. But he made the comment shortly before he passed away, that he was the luckiest guy in the world. Well, I think maybe I am. You know, I listen to everybody I feel like I'm repeating a lot of things, but I do think that I am so lucky, fortunate, blessed, and I'm just going to tell you why I think I'm blessed. I've heard everybody talk about their parents. Well, listen, I had two of the greatest parents. I was blessed. Clayton White and Dorothy White. Of course, they passed away quite a long time ago. But what a father and mother. In fact, my dad's still my hero. Always will be. I was also lucky to have two fantastic kids. You just saw Nicole, great daughter. Rocky, a great son. You know, I'm just so proud of them, and I'm blessed. Fantastic kids. And one reason they're good kids, there's a gal here that I'm so glad she's here. A great mother of my kids, a great mother of my grandkids, and a great gal, that's Wanda White. Very lucky. Because of that, you know, I have 4 grandsons. So proud of them, blessed. Let's see, Caden, Riker, Lucas, and Tyler. Got their names right, I'm sure. But, you know, blessed, very fortunate. So fortunate. And here again, we'll talk about where you come from. I am so proud to be from New Washington, Ohio. Proud as, I think, rural, I love rural places, for one thing. I'm not a city guy, I'm sort of a country guy. And proud of where I grew up, New Washington. Proud of the school I went to, Buckeye Central, which happens to be in Crawford County. And a great place, like I say, just a great place, fortunate, and I'm blessed. That's what's happened. But anyway, like I say, I've been so fortunate, and I'm very humbled by this. And really, I don't think probably I am deserving of this. As I'm sure everybody I know they're deserving. Of course, I'm a little partial to Danny over there. I was honored again to be inducted into the High School Hall of Fame with Danny. And blessed, and of course, our volleyball team, Buckeye Central. You know, what a great, you're right. I don't know what's in the water at New Orchard. You're right, I guess I don't drink that much water. But you know, I'm so proud of Buckeye Central and the women's teams. And, you know, like I say, I am just so blessed. And as I said, these guys are deserving. I'm probably not, but I'm humbled. And I just want to thank everybody that I've received this great honor, and I just want to thank everybody here that was responsible for that. And one other thing, I want to set the record straight. I hate to have something in the program that's not right. It said that I graduated from Ohio State in public recreation, by the way. That was my last major. You gotta be pretty smart to be majoring in public recreation. But to be honest with you, I never graduated, but that was my last major. So I wanted to set the record straight. But thank you very much. Thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
Okay, Bill Arnold will introduce Dan Wurm.
You thought George had a long speech. And if it weren't for the New Washington water, which I drank for a few years, I wouldn't have gotten up over this. Ladies and gentlemen, athletes and ex-athletes, coaches, ex-coaches, and all us old coaches. Hi, Bill. Scott and his beard. Yes. Baynard. Good to see you, Baynard. All us old coaches. And how about George and Ken? And Nancy. And all Crawford County sports fans from the 6 school districts. And I, for one, am, from being competitive in Crawford County, am very glad to see all 6 districts here celebrating together. I even rooted for Galleon, except George never beat Dan Wurm. It is now my honor to present for induction one of Buckeye Central's finest gentlemen and finest athletes ever. He was a 3-sport athlete. In the fall, football. As a wide receiver, he got 2nd team All-Ohio twice. In the winter, he went to the basketball court. He got 2nd team All-Ohio as a center in basketball. He was a Northwest District 1st team basketball for 2 years. He was the Northwest District 6 Player of the Year in 1981. In track and field, he participated in the spring. In 1980, at the state track meet, he was the gold medal winner in the 110-meter high hurdles, Division III. He received a bronze medal as anchor of the 4x100 meter relay and he received a bronze medal as the anchor in the 4x400 meter relay, and that was his junior year. In 1981, he repeated as the gold medal winner in the 110 meter high hurdles. He earned a gold medal as the anchor of a 4x100 meter relay. He earned a silver medal by this much from a gold medal in the 4x400 meter relay. Every team that Dan was a part of was a championship competitive team, highlighted by the 1981 runner-up state championship team. George, Ken, Maynard, Bill, they all know behind the performance is dedication to practice, discipline and training, and commitment to a team and to his teammates. I am proud to present to you and to the committee a team player, a team leader, and believe you me, an anchor man, Mr. Dan Wurm.
Okay, we do present to Dan Wurm the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame plaque, class of 2021.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the sort of the kind words. It's great to see everybody here tonight. And I've seen people that I haven't seen in 40 years. It's been wonderful to see them. Specifically, I just want to point out Coach Spees. Quickly, I remember a story in football as the assistant coach. Of course, 2 days in August was always, blasted hot, right? 85 degrees and 90 degree humidity. And he would come out of the coach right before, or the locker room right before practice would start, and he'd start swirling around this stupid hygrometer, the thing that measures the humidity. And he was always mad that it was never hot enough and never humid enough. I always remember that about him. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And Brett, you mentioned Buckeye pounding Crissman. Well, my remembrance of you is the amount of fun that we had during the News Journal All-Star game. That was an absolute blast to get to know you that way. So, in any event, it is good to see everybody here, and I really appreciate, all the kind words. I want to thank certainly Mr. Bill for those wonderful words that he said for introducing me, and I want to thank he and his wife Jodie for being here today, coming up from Columbus to do so. They were always good to me. I appreciate their friendships. I also like to thank, as everybody else has, the committee. It is truly a great thing that they do for the community in recognizing all the athletes that have gone before me and are certainly sitting here in front of you. I want to thank also my family that are sitting at that table and back here in the corner. I can't thank them enough. They've always been supportive of me, although I got to say I had 4 older sisters, and for whatever reason, they thought that I was the spoiled one. Teresa's back here smiling, you know. But my mom and dad, you know, regardless of what she said, they treated us all fairly. But if I ran out of a basketball or wore it out, whatever, my mom and dad always made sure that I had a new one. They took great care of me, and I'll never be able to thank them enough for that. And I remember too, my senior year, we made it to the regional finals, and unfortunately, one sister had planned their wedding day for the exact same day that we had to go to Canton, is where the game was had. So needless to say, I can only imagine their surprise when halfway through the wedding reception, they look up and everybody had left. They had to go to Canton. So kind of a funny thing, and I'm sure Buckeye Central people probably remember that. As everybody else has mentioned, I also want to thank or congratulate the other inductees. You guys are all very well deserving. I am familiar with all of you. You know, I do pay attention to what's going on in the athletic world of Crawford County. And as Coach Gibbs had mentioned, you know, Crawford County is truly a hotbed for athletics. And for me to be associated to this institution is I can't speak enough to the honor that it is. So it is an honor. I'm very proud to be part of this group that's going in today, as well as the other athletes that have gone before us. So that's been very rewarding for me. But in a larger sense, this award is a reflection of many other people. That includes my coaches, certainly Coach Arnold, Bill Pierce, who is our football coach, Dick Heath, who is my basketball coach. They taught me many things that applies to my life today. You know, certainly the players, the teammates that I had, I can't speak enough to them. You know, I wouldn't be here before you if it weren't for them. Additionally, I want to say thank you to the Buckeye Central community. Talk about support, you know, and I think all Crawford County high schools and the schools can say the same thing. The level of support that the community provides is unmatched, if you ask me. But okay, so I have a lot of great memories of the amount of time that I was involved in sports. At 58, I don't do much anymore, but it's taught me a lot about life, as I said. There are successes and failures, and you know, sports has taught me how to get back up and get back into the huddle, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. And Mr. Bill, I call him Mr. Bill, it's a reference. He mentioned my junior year, I did win the state high hurls, but what he failed to tell you is the reason being is I was in second place, and I was going to have to accept second place, but fortunately for me, the guy fell over hurdle number 10, which, you know, gave me the championship, and I was very happy that, but I felt really guilty, almost kind of dirty because of it. I remember going up to him afterwards, and he was on his hands and knees, and he was crushed, you know, upset, and so I tried to console him as best I could. I patted him on the back, and he looked up at me, and he started cussing me out. Yeah. Needless to say, he wasn't happy for whatever reason, I don't know. But and I was kind of disturbed by the whole thing. And I remember going back up to the stands where Mr. Bill was, and of course he had a stopwatch, and he was writing all stuff down, timing everybody. And I kind of told him what had happened, and he said something to me that really resonated with me. It made perfect sense to me, but it was simple, but it meant so much. What he said was, and I kind of quote this, he says, "You have to get over all 10 hurdles." And at the time, it didn't mean much to me, but basically what that was saying is that you do have to accept a victory at times. And I felt a ton better after that, so I can't thank him for that. I'll forever remember that. Well, in any event, it is great to be recognized this way. I am truly honored, as everybody has mentioned. This is something I will remember forever. And I do want to thank everybody that has been involved in this and has led me to this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy Ackerman, introducing the 1996 Buckeye Central Volleyball Championship team.
Once you see what you want to say, and if you want to call them up individually, fine. And then after they're all up here, I can make the presentation. And then one of them can say a few words.
That's good. Thank you, and again, to the Hall of Fame Committee, this is again a wonderful event, very appreciative. You know, I just want to say a couple things about the girls volleyball team before they come up and say a few words. You're gonna enjoy probably listening to them more than you are me. To win a state championship, a lot of things have to go right, and as coaches and players, you guys all know that. We were fortunate that a lot of things went our direction that year. You know, you have to have a little bit of luck. Things have to fall into place, but I will say this was a talented team. These girls were very, very talented. But we were led by seniors who showed on the court how to take care of business. We had underclassmen who were a huge part of our team. And there were a lot of intangibles. And the thing that I remember is we weren't worried about stats. We weren't worried about whose name was in the paper. We weren't worried about who was going to get talked about in school tomorrow. We were worried about winning. And that's what these girls took to heart. And, you know, I'll always remember that. I think they set a great example by their unselfishness to a lot of teams that followed. And, again, they should be very proud of that. You know, their goal was just to win. They wanted to win games. And I think I knew the summer before that they had a chance to be a pretty special team. And so we did a lot of things in the summer to prepare for that. And then we played a good N10 or North Central NCC conference schedule, but we really beefed up our schedule. We played teams like Mansfield Madison. They were down at the state tournament in Division I. We played River Valley. We played Willard. We played Hopewell Loudon. We tried to get the toughest teams on the schedule so that these girls would be prepared. And I think that all paid off. We got into tournaments. They won sectional and district, you know, pretty easily. They did a great job. And then I kind of think we hit our stride when we got to the regional tournament. They really stepped up, took care of business, played really hard. And before you know it, we're in the state tournament, everything that they had worked for. And we played Centerburg in the state semifinal. And again, a very business-like team. They just came out, took care of it, and believe it or not, the next day there we are ready to play St. Henry, who is probably one of the best volleyball teams in the state of Ohio. They were ranked first in Division IV that year. They had won, I think, the previous 2 state championships. And, you know, I thought this is what it's about. If you're going to win a state championship, you want to do it against the best. And we struggled a little bit to begin that game, but those girls, I mean, I was so proud of them that night. We scratched and clawed and fought, and they ended up winning in 3 games. Again, I was so proud of them. I look at them now, I'm so proud of them right now. They're great young ladies. They've been successful in their careers and in life with their families, and to me, that's the most important thing about sports. And bringing these guys back together and seeing how they're doing and what they've done in their life is really important. So with that, I'd like to present the 1996 State Volleyball Championship team. Why don't you girls all just come forward? We'll do this first. I think we have 7 out of the 12 girls. If you guys just want to. Yep. We have Brandy Hansen. Amanda Mann. Allison Hare. We're going by maiden names. Claire Forster. Kara Predmore. Amanda Heidinger. And Tricia Shibley. Right. Amanda, you have a few words? All right.
Yes, you guys have to stay up here for moral support. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Mann Barnett, and I want to start by thanking the Crawford County Hall of Fame for hosting this event and honoring and selecting our 1996 Buckeye Central Buckeye State Championship volleyball team. To me, there are 3 things we should all do every day. We should do this every day of our lives. Number 1 is laugh. You should laugh every day. Number 2 is think. You should spend some time in thought. Number 3 is you should have your emotions move to tears. Could be happiness or joy. But think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special. This was Jim Valvano's acceptance speech at the first ever ESPY Awards in 1993. When I sat down and reflected on the years we spent together as a team, this speech sums it up. We laughed, we strategically thought, and we cried. I want to take a moment to honor and remember those team and family members that couldn't be with us tonight, especially Amanda Cecil Mahon. We were blessed at a young age. Some of us were given the opportunity to be managers or ball girls for the upperclassmen in 5th grade. So we were able to start developing skills and learning the basics. Our first coach, Marilyn Studer, taught us the airplane move. This is your space. And Diane Alt, the down and up on how to pass properly. We continued early in our careers in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with Diane Loy and Becky Zoltansky as coaches along the way. We had role models that paved the way before us like Diane Kemp, Jenny Capel, Shelley Shibley, Sheila Crime, and Missy Heidinger, just to name a few. We watched those players and teams accomplish so much as female and student athletes that they made our dreams seem so easily attainable. And to top it off, we were surrounded by a community that was so equally supportive. Thank you first to God for blessing us with our abilities and families. Thank you to our parents, grandparents, and family members that drove us to countless practices, camps, scrimmages, and most importantly to the state tournament to support us. Thanks to the community members that were regulars in the stands, Mr. and Mrs. Defense, the Evascottis, Louis Failer, Mr. Zimmerman, Larry Millenbaugh, Roger Daniel, and countless more. Oh, and who could forget, or maybe we'd like to try to forget, Mr. Zeider, dressing in a cheerleading uniform for us, and willing to take a few pies to the face. Also a big shout out to a referee, if you guys remember, that holds a special place in our hearts, that was not only fair, but also helped teach and coach us along the way, Russell Pitts. If you've ever met this man, to know him was to love him. Thanks to the North Central Conference for always providing next level competition. We were equally blessed to have the same coaching staff from the very beginning, all the way through the championship. Thanks specifically to you, Coach Ackerman, for spending your free time with us, teaching us, inspiring us, encouraging us, challenging us, and having patience with us, and putting up with our shenanigans, especially Stryker. That's what you get for not being here. Seeing what young athletes are required to do currently, we sincerely apologize, Coach, for complaining about running around the block and having to jump on a box for conditioning. For us, winning state was part of our DNA. It was never out of the question or an unrealistic goal or unattainable. It was real, and we were going to accomplish it, and we did. One of my favorite motivational speakers is John Gordon. I read Stick Together a few years ago and recently reread it with my kids as they're active in team sports. Any team can be a group of sticks, but team members need each other to be strong. Only a team who believes, loves, includes everyone, is consistent, takes ownership, connects, and has hope, all bundled together, can come out on top and reach their true potential. That's what a team means. It's a group that sticks together through adversity to pursue a shared vision and purpose and seeks to accomplish something great together. So I close with, go Buckeyes.
Very nice.
I'd like to remind everybody, we will have pictures again over under the banner. Okay, all individuals, all teams. So after we dismiss, navigate over there, please. As has been said before, congratulations to all the inductees. And you know, the presenters, many of them have been more than interesting. They've been excellent speakers. And thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. Once again, a special thanks to WQEL for their coverage tonight. And if you go to WQEL.com, you can pick up the podcast of this program. Chairman, is it approximate time that this will be ready to go?
Probably like Monday afternoon.
Say it again, please.
Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon. Okay. Glad we got that clarified. Okay. To the Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame Committee, thank you for all your work to put this program together. And most of all, I do want to thank all of you for being here tonight. So please travel safely, and may 2022 be another wonderful year for all people associated with the academics or athletics for Colonel Crawford. Good evening.
Thank you for joining us for today's presentation of the 2022 Crawford County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We'd like to remind you that this is brought to you in part by Doug Luthold and Adam Weisner at Advanced Fiber Tech Technology, John and Darlene Haynes along with Michelle Moiser at JDM Surplus, West Livingston Avenue in Crestline, Mike Kleinheit at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus, Marion, and Mount Gilead, Craig and Marilyn Miley at Craig A. Miley Realty and Auction, Galleon and Bucyrus, as well as attorney John Andrew Motter. We'd also like to recognize Hannah Newton at Wendy's downtown Bucyrus in Upper Sandusky, Washington Auto Parts, your Napa dealer, now in their new location, East Mansfield Street across from Stetzer Road, Larry Milliron and Bob Henderson at the House of Investments on West Church Street at Portland Way North in Galleon, as well as Mike Klein at Ag Credit Residential Services, Bucyrus, Marion, and Mount Gilead.